Hi, my name is Caitlin, and today I'd like to talk about how the book of Revelation is a message of hope to Israel. I know it's kind of hard to see how this book is a message of hope to Israel at first glance because there are many prophecies concerning her hardships and coming troubles. However, it's by observing the way Jesus is revealed in this book that we'll find the message of hope clearly communicated. So, firstly, let's look at how the person of Jesus is revealed through the book of Revelation. It is a revelation of who Jesus is as well as what he is. And I'd like to specifically focus on how Jesus is revealed as the Christ or the Messiah in Revelation. It's important to understand that Christ is an English word derived from a Greek word which simply meant anointed and served as the equivalent for the Hebrew word Messiah. So in the New Testament, when Jesus is called the Christ, he's actually being called the Messiah. And now there is a pre-existing conceptual framework in the mind of the Jews when it comes to who the Messiah is. In the Old Testament, God spoke to the nation of Israel multiple times, promising that through them he would bring forth this king who would establish a government, an everlasting government of peace and righteousness, bringing an end to all wickedness and all unrighteousness. So it's this promise that became intrinsic to the identity of Israel as a nation, and the arrival of the Messiah was the essence of their hope. And ever since these promises were made, or after these promises were made, all eyes were set on every king that came to rule over Israel from there on forth, anticipating the one who would free them from oppression and lead them into overcoming their enemies and establishing peace. So we can be confident that Jesus is the Messiah for two reasons. Firstly, many scriptures about Jesus in the New Testament fulfill and confirm Old Testament prophecies about the Messiah. For instance, Psalm 68:18 and also Psalm 110 verse 1 says that the Messiah will be seated at the right hand of God. Now in Ephesians 1:20 and Colossians 3:1, we find that Jesus is described as being seated at the right hand of God. So it's scriptures like these where there's clear fulfillment. Jesus is clearly fulfilling Old Testament prophecies concerning the Messiah. Secondly, Jesus is called the Christ many times in the New Testament, 6 times in the book of Revelation itself. So just clear indicators that Jesus himself is the Messiah, the long-awaited Savior and King of Israel. So Revelation is good news to Israel because it is their Messiah that is revealed through the words on the pages of the book. Secondly, continuing with the theme of Jesus as the Messiah, I would like to talk about how he's revealed in the book, how his power is revealed in the book. So in 2 Samuel 7:12 through 16, God clearly states that the Messiah will live and reign forever. So Jesus' death and resurrection were just confirmation that he is the Messiah, and also, just made a strong statement about his messianic character because he conquered death, and clearly only one who has power over death will be able to rule and reign forever, have a government that lasts forever. So, Revelation 20, verses 4 and 6, where it says that the people of God will share not only in Jesus' resurrection power, but also in his reign, should just be a clear message of hope to Israel, because no longer are they to only anticipate the rule of the Messiah forever, but their partnership with him in that rule because of his power, his resurrection power. So lastly, this book is a revelation of the glorious plan or program of Jesus. For thousands of years, Israel has undergone oppression and has waited for this Messiah to come and fulfill expectations of establishing a kingdom of righteousness and peace. So in Acts 1, verse 6, we catch a glimpse of the eagerness that overtook the hearts of Jesus' followers as they inquired of him as to when he would establish this kingdom. In Luke 21, after briefly describing to his Jewish audience the same eschatological events that the book of Revelation expounds upon, he, at the end of that exposition, he confirms that Israel is to find hope in the message of these eschatological events by saying, "Now, when these things begin to take place, straighten up, raise up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near." And although Jesus' plan is to shake everything that can be shaken, his purpose behind doing so is to establish righteousness. It's to remove all wickedness and establish righteousness to fulfill these messianic expectations the nation of Israel has had for thousands and thousands of years. In conclusion, hopefully you'll agree with me that the first step in acknowledging the book of Revelation as a hopeful message to Israel is acknowledging that Jesus Christ, the Messiah, is the subject of the book. This means that there is nothing but hope in the book for the people of Israel, since the book is the story of the vindication and the establishment of this king before the eyes of all of mankind. And he will come and finally restore the kingdom of Israel and fulfill their expectations at the end of the events that take place in chapters 6 through 18. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this video.